Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome if you're new. Thank you for taking time out of your day to check the video out. We have more PlayStation news, rumors, and leaks to go over and cover here today. So before we dive into these topics, if you end up enjoying the video or finding it informative, be sure to leave it a like. And if you are new here to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button as well. We're starting here with some more PS5 Pro patches that are releasing for some PlayStation Studios titles. Since the Pro is, at this point, just 10 days away from release. This is being reported by Gaming Bolt. They say Insomniac Games' latest update for Marvel Spider-Man 2 is live, adding support for the upcoming PS5 Pro. Performance Pro is the default for the console, targeting 60 frames per second and enabling all ray tracing features, including ray-traced water and window interiors. The image quality also matches Fidelity Mode thanks to PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. There's also Fidelity Pro, which targets 30 FPS and features increased pedestrian and traffic density alongside increased hair detail. It also exclusively features the new ray-traced reflections and ray-traced key light shadow toggles. The former renders at half the resolution for improved performance on medium, while high delivers full resolution reflections and smoother reflection animations. The latter replaces cascaded shadow maps, delivering ray-traced sun shadows. It can be turned on or off and offers the most impact in cityscapes. With VRR and 120Hz display mode options, players can effectively tune both options based on their frame rate preference. Finally, there's ray-traced ambient occlusion. Turning it off improves performance, while medium augments screen space ambient occlusions, and high adds screen space global illumination bounces. So yeah, quite a bit here on offer for the PS5 Pro with Spider-Man 2. I did see some people saying that these options are maybe even a little bit overwhelming compared to what you would normally expect to get for console games, but I think it's actually really cool what Insomniac is doing here. It seems like they're really kind of going all out with the PS5 Pro patch for Spider-Man 2, especially when it comes to all these different ray tracing options. So if you are somebody who's going to be picking up the Pro, even if you're not planning on, replaying Spider-Man 2, this might be a game that's worth booting up and kind of just messing around with a little bit to, see how much you can get out of it, right? To see what the Pro is going to do for a game like Spider-Man 2 with all these different ray traced options. But we're also hearing about Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. This is, again, being reported by Gaming Bolt. It says, alongside an update for Marvel Spider-Man 2, Insomniac Games has released a patch for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart to support the PS5 Pro when it launches November 7th. It also features two new modes, Performance Pro and Fidelity Pro. The former targets 60 FPS, utilizing PSSR, and Fidelity Mode level image quality and enabling all ray tracing features. Fidelity Pro targets 30 frames per second, but allows for toggling different ray tracing options like reflections. And so essentially, without going over every detail here, once again, it's basically doing the same thing that Spider-Man 2 is doing, where you're going to have all these different ray tracing options that you can toggle on or off. It seems like this is essentially what Insomniac decided to go with for both Spider-Man 2 and Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart, and both of these games are going to be ready to go for the PS5 Pro on launch day, November 7th. And so I'll be curious. Let me know down in the comments below if you are somebody who's picking up the PS5 Pro. Are you planning on reinstalling either Spider-Man 2, Ratchet & Clank, or both, and kind of messing around with these new options, or maybe just flat out replaying the games? Let me know down in the comments below. Moving on to the next topic, though, we have an interesting write-up about Helldivers 2 and the potential of it maybe one day releasing on Xbox. This is again being reported by Gaming Bolt. They say the massive widespread success that Helldivers 2 saw in the months following its release ensured that it would end 2024 as one of the year's biggest games. But of course, as a PlayStation published title, there are many on rival platforms who haven't been able to play the game. And given the game's nature as a multiplayer shooter, it's safe to assume that Xbox in particular has a massive built-in audience for exactly this sort of game. Being a PlayStation game, you would think that there's no chance Helldivers 2 would ever release on Xbox, but interestingly enough, developer Arrowhead Game Studio, their community manager, doesn't seem to think so. In a message in the game's official Discord server, he stated that Helldivers 2 could hypothetically launch for Xbox if Sony and Microsoft gaming CEO Phil Spencer came to a mutually beneficial agreement. Who says it couldn't? It's not up to us, but to Sony and Phil to duke it out. But hypothetically speaking, if both partners think it would benefit them from a financial/brand standpoint, it could. If Sony believes it won't, though, it won't. This isn't the first time the topic of Helldivers 2 on Xbox has been broached publicly. Shortly following its release, Phil Spencer spoke about how he saw no benefit in the co-op shooter not being available on the Xbox Series consoles. And it says here below this that, interestingly enough, it was claimed earlier this year that Sony was in very, very early preliminary discussions about the possibility of bringing Helldivers 2 to Xbox. So just wanted to put this out here because we're continuing to see this kind of desire for Helldivers 2 to make its way to Xbox. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, my opinion on this is I don't think this is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen because I just think Sony is not willing to extend, their multi-platform embrace this far. I think that even though Xbox has made it clear they're not necessarily competing at a high level with Sony in the console space anymore, they just don't seem to be focused on that. They still do have a console that's on the market and is up for sale, and they are still planning on making a next-gen console. For Sony, the console is still a primary focus and a focal point, and so because of that, I think that it opens up potential drama where Sony has already, made it clear that they're going to bring a lot of their games to PC, and that has created a bit of drama in terms of, are they devaluing the console? Is this going to hurt console sales? And obviously, Sony's still kind of navigating that, but I feel like if you then port one of your games to Xbox, it's just going to kind of make that conversation, even messier than it currently is. But also, the idea of how it's going to impact the brand from a financial standpoint. Sony may simply just not be doing this because they just may not feel it's worth it, right? They found great success with Helldivers 2 on PC and PS5, and, Xbox is not really doing that great right now. So maybe to Sony, it's just simply not worth the time and effort and resources that would be required to even port the game over to Xbox. But yeah, I did just want to throw this out here because I think this is a conversation we're going to continue to see occur as Sony releases more live service games. Maybe Sony's just waiting to release Marathon. That game is going to be releasing on Xbox, and they want to see how that performs and how that does. And maybe if it does really well, it will incentivize them to consider maybe titles like Helldivers 2 and bringing them over. But yeah, just figured I would cover this and let you know what's going on. We're moving on to the next topic, though, which talks about Monster Hunter Wilds. I want to start by just reminding you that the beta is now available to all PlayStation Plus players. So if you have any interest at all in Monster Hunter Wilds and you are subscribed to PS Plus, you can download this beta now and give it a try. I think I'm going to try it out myself, but we also have new information about Monster Hunter Wilds being reported by WCCF Tech. It says Monster Hunter Wilds will be a very accessible game for newcomers thanks to the implementation of some new features. Speaking with Gamer Braves, the producer commented on some of the new game mechanics, including those that are meant to ease newcomers into the experience, such as tutorials. These tutorials, which teach the basics of the experience, come with some options that allow players to tweak them to show as little or as much as they want. These tweaking options are certainly quite welcome, as they will not only help newcomers, but will also allow more experienced players to hide them so that they can play without any hindrance right from the start. They also explain that players can get some help from Alma the Handler to pick the weapon best suited for their playstyles by replying to some of the questions. This feature was also available in the Gamescom demo that the writer of this article says they had a chance to try out earlier this year, so it is likely it will be in the open beta as well, and apparently this was actually very helpful. Says not every new feature in Monster Hunter Wilds was implemented just to help newcomers. However, the introduction of weapon switching, for example, is meant to provide players with more options and not break the gameplay action loop too much. As for why players can only bring 2 weapons, Capcom explains that it's to make things realistic, as being able to switch between all 14 weapons wouldn't have been so. Palico's now being able to talk was also a change that was made to help the flow of action, as auditory cues are just better than visual ones in this regard. If players want, however, they can revert the Palico's voices to the meows of the previous entries in the series. Speaking of characters talking, They also confirmed that the hunter talking was a change made to help immersion, but players shouldn't expect them to speak a lot, as the team wanted to keep the tone of the series intact in Monster Hunter Wilds. So there you go. I wanted to share this new information about Monster Hunter Wilds with you now that the beta is available for PlayStation Plus players. But moving on to the final topic here, we have more bad news about PlayStation Stars. It's being reported by PlayStation Lifestyle that the PlayStation Stars Wallet Fund rewards were removed intentionally. PS Stars Wallet Fund rewards are still missing for a large number of players since last week, and as usual, PlayStation support agents are clueless about the issue. We're not quite sure why Sony even has a support staff at this point, but agents have been telling players that the removal of PS Store credit was intentional. It's hard to say just how many members have had their store credit rewards removed, but the issue is widespread. A significant number of players are still able to redeem their points against wallet funds, although the denomination available varies from member to member. A small number of users have not lost the rewards at all. Sony is silent as usual, so some members took it upon themselves to contact PS support and ended up receiving a variety of answers. One player was told that the removal of cash rewards is just a glitch, and Sony is working on it. Another was told that the rewards were removed intentionally and it's not available anymore. A third member was told that although wallet funds were removed intentionally, they'll be replaced by something better. So I wanted to report this to you guys because obviously Sony is doing an awful job at communicating what's going on with PlayStation Stars, and I really don't know why it's so difficult for them to just put out a statement and let people know, let players know what's going on. But right now, we're pretty much in the dark, right? We have 3 different answers from PlayStation support. One saying that they're just removing it and it was intentional. Another saying that it's a glitch. And somebody even saying that it's being replaced with something even better. So I guess we'll just have to wait and find out. But I wanted to keep you guys updated with the situation with PlayStation Stars because I know it's frustrating a lot of people. But guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you found it informative. If you did, leave it a like, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell notification icon, and feel free to share the video out on top of all that. But until next time, guys, take care.